PJ Taints wants to know, do you think this was always the plan or do you think the backlash was heard? I feel like we sort of addressed that, but
Yeah.
you've got to be able to be nimble in times like these of creative. I mean, every now and again, a guy shows up not tan. You got to call an audible, right?
Absolutely. And we're going to talk about tans here as it relates to AEW and Sting. And yeah, no, I agree. It was a stutter step for all the reasons we'd already discussed, but um, adaptability is key because you mentioned Charlotte Flair and Brock and all the other CM Punk's injuries. So many things happen to you that if you're booking in a straight line and you're not considering alternatives along the way and options along the way, you're running the risk of hitting a brick wall. I I'm excited for it. I don't know how many different ways I can say I'm excited, but I really am genuinely interested in so many different perspectives on where this goes.
So is John Westbrooks. He's watching along with us over from adfreeshows.com. He says, I haven't watched WWE in quite a while, and these events have really gotten me interested to watch WrestleMania. Man, they're doing their job. I'll tell you that. Coach Rosie has a great follow-up question. You and I've talked about this before off air. I'm not sure if we talked about this on air. In your opinion, do you prefer the major shows in a stadium or an arena?
Great question, Coach. I prefer an arena because the energy is contained. I think the audio is different in arena. You can feel the audience's reaction or in a different way. I love the spectacle, the big, beautiful wide shots and all that. And I understand why they're important. But in terms of my enjoyment of the event as a viewer, or if you're there, maybe even more so if you're live in venue, I much prefer an arena because that energy is contained and it is catching, people. It just elevates everybody's level of excitement, enthusiasm, or heat when it's appropriate. When you have a chance to confine 10 or 15 or 20,000 people in a venue, the energy is just different.
Shane Ryan O'Neill says, with the WWE network closing at the end of the year, is there a chance that a lot of the archive material disappears forever? I have a horrible feeling that the old stuff is not a huge priority for Netflix, but I hope I'm wrong. A lot of people have been asking this question, Eric. Like, we know the WWE network is going to see its sunset and Netflix is going to be the new home for WWE, but it is hard for me to imagine Netflix having an interest in archiving all of the old stuff. I don't know. Maybe I could see it. What do you think becomes of that? If you had to guess, it feels like a licensing opportunity for someone. I mean, there's money in their heels somewhere, right?
But there's also, there's money and perhaps going into this deal, none of us know this, have any real insight. Perhaps Netflix is looking at the legacy footage, if you will, or legacy content and minimizing its value. But they could just as easily find out that there's a lot of value there and find new ways of taking advantage of it. Time will tell. It's an easy cop out. But if there is value, Netflix has invested $5 billion in WWE and the content. I would imagine if there's value there, Netflix will be first to see it and exploit it. So I don't think there's any foregone conclusions to the.
It is interesting to think about what they're going to do with it because we've heard over and over and over that nobody really watches the old stuff comparatively to the new stuff. So it feels like if you're Netflix, you just want the good stuff. But then I'll be honest, I scroll through Netflix. There's a lot of stuff on there that I would never in a million watch. So to each his own. Let's do a few more questions about WWE and then we'll move on. Our old pal Super Dave wants to know, do you see The Rock doing the oppressive authority figure gimmick, making Cody's life a living hell after WrestleMania? I don't. I see Rock turning babyface before that. What say you?
I agree with you. I don't think Rock is a Mr. McMahon character or even an Eric Bischoff character in WWE, general manager. I just, that is such a tired character role I just can't imagine it.
Last one. We are here in WrestleMania season, and for a lot of fans, that means it's time to talk about the Hall of Fame. Kevin Crowley has a great question. He says, Eric, if you were put in charge of picking 4 entrants into the WWE Hall of Fame, who would you pick? And he offers his selections being Bray Wyatt, Lex Luger, Demolition, and Paul Heyman. What say you? Does anyone stand out to you as being long overdue or well deserving?
Could you put those back up again, Dave?
Bray Wyatt, Lex Luger, Demolition, Paul Heyman.
I agree with all 4 of them, not to take the easy way out.
I don't see Paul going in yet. He's active, so I don't think Paul would go in just yet. I think Paul would say
I
no.
don't think he will. I don't, unless there's a plan perhaps for Paul to retire, in the near future. That may be an issue, maybe a situation. If that indeed is the case, I think this could be not the best time, because I think the best time to induct someone is after their career is over.
Yes.
Their active career on a weekly basis. Paul, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when.
Yes.
Paul will be in there. Bray Wyatt, I think, for obvious reasons.
Yes.
Bray Wyatt was a character that changed the industry. Bray's character brought another layer of character creative and kind of what's possible to the entire industry. Without question, Bray Wyatt. Lex Luger would be number 1 on my list.
Same.
Number 1 on my list. I admire Lex, inspires me. I aspire to be as good of a human being as Lex has become.
Yes.
He's a good human. He's an amazing guy who's overcome so much. So Lex Luger's number 1 on my list. I can't disagree with any of those choices, and I can't think of anybody that I think deserves it more. And so many people, deserve. What does that mean? It means different things to different people, and it's subjective, right? But I see Demolition as a long shot for a lot of other reasons. Perhaps those reasons aren't as significant, and its backstory, its legal issues and things like that. Perhaps those issues aren't as prevalent now with new leadership. The fact that Vince McMahon is no longer a part of the company, in which case I think Demolition would be a great choice. That one I think is up for grabs. The other 3 I absolutely agree with, and I can't think of anybody better.
Yeah, I'd love to see Demolition. I'd love to see Rick Martel. I'd love to see Miss Elizabeth. There's a handful of others I'd love to see, but I'm with you. Lex Luger is my number 1.